Hello, this is Sabina from Cross Keys Crafts, and today I'm showing you how I turn my backgrounds that I created yesterday into two cards. I have already pre-cut this panel from yesterday with a frame die cut. This is a smaller one and I chose the bigger one for this card. This is the small one I used for the other card. This is to match UK card sizes. If you are in a different country, you might want to cut it to a different size. This is the stamp I used yesterday to mask this off. This, by the way, is from Visible Image, a UK company that do some gorgeous stamps. I'll quickly show you the stamp set where you've got the squirrel, some acorns, leaves, little squirrels here, the silhouette dies, some sentiments and some bark, which is really lovely and versatile, I think. So as I have masked out yesterday, I know exactly where my image wants to go, so I can line that up in my stamping platform. I have decided to stamp this in a brown ink and then to put clear embossing powder on it and to heat emboss it. That gives a nicer finish because it's glossy, it will stick out a bit from the background. Obviously you can just stamp it in just black ink if you like, but I wasn't quite sure whether black would be too harsh with these colours. You can already see that this won't be enough. Oh, I've got the wrong brown ink as well, but it doesn't matter. I didn't want to use the vintage photo, I wanted to use this one from Lavinia Stamps, but it doesn't. So just getting my little pressure tool here that I made myself. It's just an old doorknob from a drawer with a thick piece of felt underneath. You can buy these, but I just decided to make my own. So see, it's in the right place, but this is the ink I really wanted. Oh, I think I'd do one more bit in the middle. Get my spoon. Make sure you cover the whole image. Quick check, you should see that it's matte when you've covered it all, so you can actually exactly see where you have missed the embossing powder. So I quickly heat set that off screen to avoid noise close to the phone. Always make sure you heat up your tool properly before you put it onto the image. This out of the way. And there you go. I don't know if you can see it on screen. We've got this nice glossy sheen now to the scribble, which sets it off very nicely. And by using the clear embossing powder, it means you don't have to worry about having embossing powder in all sorts of shades. You just use your coloured ink, I should say, and use the clear embossing powder on top. So I'm not too worried that it's a bit bent. When we glue it down, it'll be okay. So I have also already die cut a sentiment. This says blessings. I have used orange cardstock, but it's very thin cardstock, almost like paper, and white thin cardstock for the back. But I decided I would like to give that a bit more of a sheen because the scribble is shiny, and I'm just using a sparkle pen. This is called Wink of Stella. It's a clear sparkle, and all you need to do is just to apply this just all over. I'm just doing it on the orange. And again, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but we've just got a little bit of shimmer all over. What I also wanted to show you, sometimes it's tricky if you've got very thin sentiment dies to stick these down. What I use is this Zig two-way glue. It's a pen, and all you need to do is dab it in the back, on the back, and then this will stick down very nicely without leaving any residue. It's really foolproof. So this has cooled down. I have already pre-cut my cardstock. I have chosen an orange shimmer paper. I've made it as a top folding card. It's quite handy for the second card. I just cut the A4 panel into 2 strips and then made it into a card on the top there. So we scored was the word I was looking for, scored it at the top. So I will stick this down. For that I use my Collal glue, which is a construction glue. It's unlike other glues, it's not water based, so it is actually pardon me, quite good. It won't warp the paper, and it is also quite good because it does work with these fine tip bottles. So make sure you don't miss out the corners. So line this up. It also allows you to wriggle a bit if you don't get anything straight. Need to push this down a bit now because it was a bit warped. Could probably do with a bit of glue there. If you want to, if you ever have warped cardstock and you want to, you can actually send it through the die cutting machine to flatten it out again. So, and I use the same glue for the sentiment. Again, position that in the middle. Make sure it's straight. Again, if you line up the card with the grid on your mat, you can see if it's straight. So, and I've also stamped and just cut by hand a little autumn, so that also goes on the card as autumn blessings. Just thinking, well, I think I'll pop it up here. So all that's left to do now, once this is dry, is to cut off the edges, the overhang. Yeah, if it's not dry, it might be a bit tricky. And there we go. This is our first card. Now for the second card. I have prepared a few things, but I would also like to show you a few tricks. So the first thing I have done is I have die cut this happy birthday from this panel. This panel, by the way, is a bit slimmer than the other one, mainly because the cardstock wasn't long enough on the top. I think it's because it's a Tim Holtz watercolor. I think it's an American size. So I cut it a bit slimmer to keep the frame a bit more even. So I have die cut the happy birthday, but the important thing is that when you do that, because I'm going to create an eclipse card, you need to keep the little bits from the inside. So what I'm going to do, actually, I can keep them in there for now. A few have fallen out, which I have kept separately. Because what you just do is you glue down this panel first. And again, with this glue, it's really easy to get to the little bits because they all need to be glued down properly. I'm not too worried if it comes out a bit in the middle because we'll glue something over that. So what you do now is with this bit, you just put glue into all the little bits. Just make sure that they actually have cut through. But these just sit in here very nicely. So I'm just putting glue on these little bits. And I'm popping this in there. Pressing all these bits down. And now the bits that have fallen out, pop glue on them and put them back into place. If you have a less detailed sentiment, that's obviously a bit easier than this one. With the beads a bit easier this time because this one's still in there. Sometimes it's a bit tricky to find which one goes where. Let me just find the tool here. It sticks to my finger. Two more to go. These, make sure you don't have too much glue on them so they don't stick the actual word down. And there's the bit from the A. There we go. So once these dry, I'll show you what else I have done I have cut some leaves from some cardstock, which is basically packaging. I think this might even have been an Amazon envelope, and I think this works perfect for craft card. It's not as brown as some craft card, but I think this works perfect and it's a good thickness. This is a die I've used. I'm not quite sure where I got it from. Could have been from Amazon, could have been from AliExpress, but any die will really do. And I've also started to use my blending brush with a bit of brown ink on the edges, and I wanted to show you what difference this makes in depth to them. Yeah, they will stick up so much nicer if you've done the edges. So all you need to do is use your blending brush. You don't need a lot of ink. You might even have enough residue on the brush to do this. This is a trick I learned of Natasha Foote, who always shows some nice finishing touches to her cards. And again, I find that the blending brushes work so much better with these. So I've done all the others already. So I'll put this to the side at the moment. This should have dried now. And oh, there's my picky tool. All I need to do now is lift the happy birthday sentiment out again. And the others should all be in place now. Oh, this one isn't. I might not have stuck that down. I'll have a look now. But, oh, and that one probably hasn't dried enough yet. So when you lift them out, make sure you push these down. Oh, there's also a little piece that I haven't put any glue on. Keep forgetting about that tiny bit there. So yeah, and that one's come out again. So if you find that, it doesn't matter. Just put some more glue on. Rest it in there so you get the right spot. What you could do also, because this is a very thick cardstock, it might be easier if you just cut the happy again in a thinner cardstock and use that as a template where to put the little bits. So this one needs to be moved. We learn as we go along, don't we? There we go. The R needs to be put back in. And then this tiny little piece that I've already lost now. Oh, there it is. I might not bother. It's a tiny little piece that belongs here between the B and R. It might not matter. No, it won't, because you won't be able to see it anyway. So the other thing I have done is I have cut the same sentiment from Fun Foam. When you cut from Fun Foam in your die cutting machine, make sure you only put it through once so it doesn't distort its shape. This is just cheap Fun Foam from the kitty section, probably from the Works or Home Bargains, B&M, any of those shop. They do cheap Fun Foam. I find this nice. Obviously you can also cut a layer or a few layers from cardstock, but Fun Foam makes it easier because you only really need one layer. And I like to use a colour that goes with the rest of the theme, so I chose orange here. So what I do now is just glue this on. And again, the Collage glue works with the fun foam. There we go. So. There we go. Press that down. Leave that to dry. So with these, my idea was just to scatter them at the top. I haven't really decided how many I want to use and if I want to use them all. I think this one might actually be a bit too big. So if I just do a layer, I'll layer them like this. I think this would look nice. So I think I'll glue these down flat. I don't like to put too much bulk to my cards, because if you want to send them in the post, they always cost extra if they are too thick. Hope you can still see me. Sometimes I think I go a bit off screen. Still trying to figure out my camera setup. So, and I think these two I'm just going to put on some foam. I like to use the sellotape foam. I think that's really good. But obviously you can use other brands. Down a bit. So, and the other thing I've done, I've just tied a little bow to just stick on the top. I haven't cut the ends yet because I want to see where it's set. And that again, the Collard glue is perfect for that. Just stick it down. You can use some hot glue, but I sometimes find that the hot glue is a bit too thick. So I'll tie this around there. This will sit nice and flat. All we need to do now is pop this on here. Oh, and the light's just gone outside. It's a bit of a dull day. I just turned this light on here on my desk. Sure we've got all the bits that we need to get. This is what I like about the Collard glue. You always got the opportunity to wriggle a bit, but once you press it down, it is in place. So I'm just cutting these ends off a bit. And there we go, the second autumn card. So I hope you liked this video and see what I did with my two backgrounds. Thanks for watching. See you soon.